Hi, this is Carrie with Canary Quilts, and I wanted to introduce you to this week's pattern. This I'm calling Santa's Helper, and it's a gift tag that you can put on your gifts this holiday season. And they can be used as an ornament in future years to the person that you gave the gift to. So these are super quick to put together. I have the templates over on my website, and I have one that I've turned, and I have one that I have raw edged appliqued. And I show you how to do both of these. And the other cute thing that you can do is, like, I used my Cricut to put my husband's name on this one, and I did some free motion quilting on this one. And then also I used my Cricut and I put some snowflakes on. But you can also just leave it plain. It's super cute plain. So I'll show you how to do both of these. You'll just need some scrap fabrics, Christmas fabrics, whatever you want to use. The color of the Santa's face is also up to you, whatever color you want to make it. And then you'll need some fusible fleece interfacing or some thin batting. I used bamboo batting in mine. But in most of these I used fleece, fusible fleece, and that's so that the background doesn't show through the front. And it gives it a real sturdy feel too. Like, this isn't gonna be flopping or bending or anything like that. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this video. I hope you enjoy making these, and thank you very much. To get access to the patterns and templates at canaryquilts.com, you can go to the library access page, and on that page you can sign up for the free password to enter, or you can hit the click here if you have the password, and that takes you right to the page and you enter the password there. Once the password has been entered correctly, you have access to all the templates and patterns that we have available on our website. You can download from here the templates and patterns that you want, and remember that our password is always at the bottom of our newsletter. So today we're going to put together these little Santa's Helper gift tags. And the great thing about these gift tags is that the person can take them off their gift and then hang them on their tree every year. These are two very simple versions where I just have them pieced together. You could add eyes, you could add a pom-pom at the top of the hat, you could add a bell, you could add something for whiskers down here, or even quilt in some like beard shapes here. So there's a lot you can do with this. This is the simplest version of these gift tags. So that's two that I've done, and I've got these 6 laid out. You can go grab the templates over at canaryquilts.com. I have the templates there, so you can cut these out. I have different colors for the faces here. I've used the same colors for the beard and the hat brim. And then I chose a different color for the hat. And then the background, or the back of the gift tag, is going to be the same color as the hat. Like, that one will go with that gift tag. So I will show you what I do with all of these. So the first thing you do is cut them out, and then we're gonna just start piecing these together. So you'll want to attach the brim and the hat together and sew that with a 1/4 inch stitch. Okay, I got my hat and my hat brim sewn together, and I press it towards the dark fabric. So now we're going to put the face pieces on and do that exactly the same way we did the first pieces. So we'll just align the shorter ends and get these pinned on. And we're going to do that with all of the faces. And then when I get it sewn, I'm going to press it towards this darker fabric, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put the beard on. Sew it, press it towards the darker fabric. So it's a 1/4 inch seam. Putting these together is pretty simple. The fabrics I've chosen today are from my batiks because I love my batiks. You can do traditional fabrics, Christmas fabrics for the hat, whatever you want. You can, whatever your little heart desires, you can do for the fabrics on this. Now the hat brim, I have kind of a whitish blue color, and then for the beard, I have kind of an off-white color. So now that I have my faces on, I'm going to get these sewn, I'm going to get them pressed, and I'm going to do the same thing for with the beard. So when I come back, I'll have all of these put together. So I got all my 6 little Santa's Helper gift tags, the fronts of them done. And you can see that I pressed them towards the dark fabric. So what I like to do is take some Pellin, and let's see, I'm using Pellin Thermolan plus fusible interfacing, and it's kind of thick and has a little bit of stiffness to it. So I'm going to fuse all my Santa's helpers with this fusible interfacing, which will keep the back of this ornament or gift tag here from showing through the white parts of the front. Plus it gives it that stiffness that you saw here. It's not going to be floppy on you. So I'm going to get all of these fused on with this Thermolam plus fusible interfacing. You can use the pattern, the template for the back of the ornament to cut this out. I like to use the actual ornament gift tag, whatever we're calling it. It's a gift tag actually that can be used as an ornament. I use that to cut my fusible fleece. Okay, so I've got my interfacing fused on, and I trimmed it up to match the sides of the front here. And you can see how much stiffer it makes it, which I like it that way. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our backs on. So I'm going to work with, let's say, 3 of these right now. So I'm going to get my red back, I'm going to lay it down. And if you're not using batiks, make sure right sides are together. And then pin this. And we're going to mark about a 2-inch opening just over here on the side. And we're going to sew a 1/4 inch seam all the way around from this point to that point, and we'll backstitch here and here. And then this will be the opening we use to pull our fabric through. So that's how I'm going to do these 3 Santas. I may do all of them like that, but I have an idea for the others that I want to try. So again, a 2-inch opening like that. I'm going to make sure I put the right fabric on there. Sometimes I can just get going. Just grabbing fabrics and putting them in, which it wouldn't matter if I did that, but my goal was to have the same fabric on the back as the hat. Oops. Okay, I'm going to go get a 1/4 inch seam sewn from this one around to this one. And then I'm going to show you what to do with the top of the hat when I come back, because we're going to sew a line across here, because this gets too bulky and too hard to start pushing all that fabric up. Here's the front and backs sewn together. And what I do is I just do a straight line all the way to the end, and I back stitch there, and then I turn it, I start there, and I back stitch right there where it meets. Same thing, I go right to the end, back stitch, start a new line, back stitch, and just do that so that when I am trimming here, I've got quite a bit of stitching so that when I'm trying to poke it out, it's not gonna rip the stitching out. So what we want to do now is, from this point right here where our stitching meets, I want to mark a line 3/4 of an inch down from that stitching line. So I'm going to lay down my ruler and put the 3/4 inch mark right there where they meet, and that's where I'm going to stitch, is right here all the way across. So we're not having to poke all of this fabric or corner up, and it still looks like a pointy hat. So where it meets at the top, put your 3/4 inch line from your ruler and mark it. And that's where our line is going to be stitched. So there's my stitch that was 3/4 of an inch down, and I did 3 stitches there. I went forward, backward, forward again. So now we're going to trim it up, and we want to trim really close to our corners. And then come out and then curve it off before you get to your opening, because you want this fabric to be 1/4 of an inch when you fold it so you have enough to sew. And start back up down here and work in next to the stitch where it meets, so that when you push it out, there's not much fabric. And that's how I trim these little gift tags. I'm using my rotary cutter to trim, but you're welcome to use your scissors, whatever you're comfortable with at this point. Okay, now we're ready to turn, and I've got my little purple thing here to help me with that. Or you can use a chopstick or just something like that to help you push your points out. So you want to gently start pushing your fabric through the opening. And the hat's going to be the hardest. So I try to get it all pushed out, and I'll use like my fingernail here to push up against that seam. And I'll just use the point of this purple thing to push out the end of his beard and the sides. So now we got to get the hat. You just kind of gotta, well, this one seems to be a little easier, but sometimes you just gotta be gentle but forceful pushing this up. And sometimes the purple thing will even like get in there and you can kind of pull it out like that. So there, see, it ends up being like a pointy hat. So there it is turned. Let's kind of do a finger press around the edges. And then we want to take this end, the opening, and fold it in Give it a finger press and a clip. And you want to make sure they line up so that when you sew them, you catch that backing. And then we'll press this. So there's one. So I'm going to use my purple thing here to push out those points in the beard and up on the top on the hat. You can see where that double stitching on all the points comes in handy because you got to use a little bit of force, and with the double stitching it gives it a lot more strength there and you can push those points out. Okay, so here they are ironed and ready for some top stitching. So I kept these pinned, but when you're getting around to top stitching, you'll do 1/8 of an inch or less if you can. Make sure that you catch this back fabric. Because of the fleece interfacing, it kind of wants to pull down. So just make sure you're catching that back fabric. Like this one is a little thick and it wants to pull away from it. So I'm going to get these top stitch and get that opening shut. Okay, for the last part, we're just going to put the little gift tag hanger. I've just got this floss pulled through my needle, and I ironed the end of my floss to make it flats to get through my needle a lot easier. I'm just going to pull it through and make it as even as I can. And then I'm going to wrap the end around my finger like this and then just run it through and pull it. So you have a knot and you have a hanger. And that's how you finish out these little gift tag / ornaments. So I'm going to finish the other two. So I found if I just put it in my mouth, get the end of the thread a little wet, go over there, iron it flat, it can get into my needle a lot easier. Oops, whew, almost pulled that through. So. There you go. Got 3 of these done. Doesn't take hardly any time at all. And look at that, they just look super cute on a package or even a gift wrapped present. And like I said, you could add maybe a bell or a pom-pom to the top of the hat. I've seen people who've used their machine. If their machine will write letters, they put their name on them down here. Before you put the back on, you could do a little quilting in the beard, maybe some beads for the eyes, or if you want to go that far, or even a Sharpie pen. Put some eyes in there. So for the 3 remaining Santa's Helpers gift tags, I just took the front with the Pellin interfacing on it, and I put some quilt basting spray on the back of it, and I put the backing on. So you have the wrong sides together now. They're stuck together so they stay in place. And I've got a zigzag stitch set up on my machine at a 5 width and a 1.5 length. So it's a pretty big length. It's not going to be like a satin stitch. And I've got it so the right side of my needle falls right on the edge of the fabric. So I'm just going to stitch all the way up the edge until I get to the corner. When I get to the corner, I want to make sure that my needle falls on the right side before I turn it. And if your machine has needle down, I would put needle down. So make sure it's on the right side of your material. turn it, start stitching again. And same thing here. Make sure your needle's on the right side, turn it, and then start stitching down the other edge. And so this zigzag stitch will close up these edges, and it flattens that edge also. So that's all there is to doing these other three. To recap, we're going to be taking the front with the Pellin interfacing and putting the back on to it, wrong sides together. I used quilt basting spray to stick them so that they don't move, and then go over and zigzag them. I like this zigzag. It gives it a little more rustic look, and it's easier to do than having to turn the fabric through. But this gives you two options on finishing this Santa's Helpers gift tag. That's how it turned out. You don't have to turn it, and it gives it a little more rustic look, and it ends up being a little bit bigger. So just trim your threads and trim these edges here. I tried to keep my stitch on the edge, but you can see right there I kind of missed. But for the most part, I tried to keep this right stitch right along the edge here. So yeah, that turned out really cute. So I'm going to do a little bit of free motion quilting on this one, where I'm going to just take it down and just do some little curly cues, like his beard would have curls in it. And then I'm just going to do some little swirls in the brim of his hat to just make it look like it's kind of fluffy. So I've got my quilting foot in, and that's all I'm going to do on this one. So I want to make a note here that the backing is not on this yet. It's just the front with the interfacing is what I'm doing with the free motion quilting. So when you're done free motion quilting, you would then add the back and do the zigzag. So there, he's got a little bit of shape to his beard here with some curls in it, and then I added a little bit of fluff up here. It's a little harder because you don't have the extra fabric to push it around, but it's doable. So now I'm going to do the zigzag around the edge. So to wrap up today, I've shown you how to make the Santa's Helper gift tag, and I've shown you how to do it two different ways. The first way is to put right sides together and sew it shut, and then top stitch it. And the second way was to do it just like this, where you put the wrong sides together, the front and the back, and then you zigzag it shut like this. So thank you very much for watching this video.